Hey guys, welcome to Eight of Cups Tarot. I thought it would be really cool to do a pick a card reading just to capture the energy of the Jupiter Pluto conjunction, which becomes official on, I believe it's Saturday. I think it's the 7th. Also encompassing, a rather large full moon in Libra. There's a lot of energy going on, but I just wanted to capture the essence of what Pluto and Jupiter are doing for you. So you see on the thumbnail there's a picture of the three piles, a close-up. If you want to focus on that for a second and get an idea. Now, it wouldn't hurt you to just listen to all three, because there may be insights that come into play in all of them for you. Like I said, there's a lot of energy. There's an ingress with Venus. Lots of changes in our sky, and all of them are changing and transforming different areas of your life. So all three piles may apply to you at this time, or at least shed some perspective, or maybe give you information that somebody you know needs to hear. So if you have the time, listen to all three, but do feel free to focus on one particular stone or pile, and even ask a question, and maybe within my translation, your question will get answered or addressed in some way. I just want to take a second to talk about Jupiter and Pluto and the power that they both immute into the universe. There is so much happening because Jupiter is just kind of dancing in between Saturn and Pluto. Now, Saturn and Pluto made their conjunction in January, and we're still feeling it. And we will continue to feel it. That's part of this this virus going around. It's part of the isolation that's happening. Saturn in Aquarius, Mars. All this energy is contributing to this need to kind of stop and take a breath, while others may be really catapulted into action at this time. There's a different version of the story playing out for all of us. So some of us are stuck at home in isolation. Some of us are dealing with major health crises or crises in the people that we love. And we're feeling powerless. That's part of Pluto. Jupiter also just expands and exasperates and exaggerates whatever it touches. So some of us may be working in the medical field, and Pluto brings real life and death situations, and Jupiter expands that, and there could be levels that you didn't ever think you'd see in your career. So there's a level of our deepest fears or anxieties, or having to face pieces of ourself that we didn't want to face before. Again, if you're stuck at home and in isolation, maybe it's a refusal to look at what life is like when you slow down. It's a need to get back to roots, get back to family, pay attention to our home life. And for some of us, there's something different. It's a facing the fears of what it would be if we lost our health, or if we lost loved ones. And again, for the people that are on the front lines, having to work their way through this, being maybe busier than ever, more uncertain, more, just a need to survive. If you're having financial issues and you don't know how you're going to pay your bills, there could be a level of having to rely on faith, stepping out of a comfort zone or a coping mechanism and being forced to look at another one. That's Jupiter and Pluto. And when it's accompanied by all of these other levels of transformation, changes in our relationships, in relationship dynamics, power dynamics in relationships. Uranus and Taurus is just an overall of our foundations, things being woken up, needing to jump into action. And spiritual enlightenment is really relevant for all of us, which of course comes with, you know, if you're at a point where, you know, there's nowhere to go from here, well, then you're being forced to rely on your faith. If you're in a position where you have to see things you don't want to see, and you have to rely on your faith, I think that's the final biggest calling for all of us, is how does this change us? How does this transform us from within? The things that we have to see, the things that we have to do, the things we have to do to survive and to thrive, or the opportunities we have to grab maybe out of a place of desperation and need. It's really about taking back our power, or how we have allowed others to hold too much authority over us. So as you can see, there's a lot of different dynamics at play here. So let's take a look at the cards and see what dynamics are playing out for you and how to navigate through them this month. Card number 1, pile number 1, I should say. It's kind of a purple quartz. I feel a healing energy here. One of maybe enlightenment. Let's take a look. Okay, so you're coming out as a Knight of Cups, and the environment is that of the Hermit. Sixth house and Uranus. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, Knight of Cups in reverse. This really is very much about your ability to receive. Coming out as a Knight of Cups in reverse. Sometimes this could be a depressive energy, one of, you know, sadness. When our masculine energy, our masculine ability to give love to others, it talks to me about feeling drained, depressed, sadness, and maybe a level of emotional exhaustion, maybe even physical exhaustion, and clarified by the Hermit. There's a feeling of isolation and being cut off, a feeling of disconnect, having to rely on yourself and your inner emotions, having to go within and get to know yourself better. And when that's clarified with your 6th house and Uranus, there could be a loss of a job here. There could be a sudden development that really throws off your routine. Well, of course, we're all in that situation. Our routines are all very much different. Our day-to-day life, our work environment is changed. It seems more chaotic with Uranus. Unexpected things happening, and the Hermit could be the inability to maybe answer people or get back to people or communicate with people. It does, again, that feeling of isolation. If you are in a situation where you are quarantined, having to rely more on technology in order to do your job, and there could be frustration there. There could be, you know, hiccups and frustrations with maybe even internet connections, or, you know, things that are making it hard for you to do your job. At the same time, I see this coming out as maybe even someone who works in the healthcare field, who's just completely depleted and exhausted, and maybe fighting the urge to quit, to go into isolation, to go within, as a way to survive the emotions that you're seeing. There's a hard time dealing with what you're feeling emotionally at this time. You may not be able to communicate it or even process it in your mind, and it could be taking a toll on your health. Sixth house also is your health. And it also, you know, 12th house would rule hospitals. Sixth house is doctors and nurses. You may be absorbing so much chaos that it's throwing off your emotional stability, and it may make you seem out of touch or aloof or distant maybe with your loved ones. And I think that's exactly what's happening, because then Oracle card is Mintaken, longing for home and belonging, and the original light worker. So this talks to me about sacrifice. The sacrifices you're making at this time, probably quite emotional. And the longing for home, it may be the need for faith, especially because it comes out next to the High Priestess. And there could be so much emotional stuff that you're having to see that's really putting pressure on you, and you need to really go into your higher being and your faith here. High Priestess coming out next to Temperance means that there could be situations that are so emotional and so emotionally tolling and taxing for you, that you may become disconnected with the greater faith. You may start to wonder if all of the belief and the work that you put in towards your beliefs was worth it, and you may begin to not see the bigger picture. Yeah. Stay connected to your faith at all costs. If you're feeling ill or you're feeling tired, take a rest. A lot is being asked of you at this time. So if you are given opportunities to rest, to go into hermit mode, don't put so much pressure on yourself to deliver to your family and loved ones at this time. You know, if you're a healthcare worker and you're feeling guilty because you can't spend as much time or be as close to your children or your loved ones at this time. I say this because the beaver comes out, and that's my card of building bridges. It's about hard work and perseverance and seeing the higher picture. It talks a lot about faith, and it also talks about the importance of your family and loved ones, and you need to remain in a place where you know that they understand that sacrifices may be needed at this time, that you may be pulled from your home, disconnected in a quarantine situation where maybe you can't hug your children, you can't kiss your husband or your spouse. Maybe situations have occurred where you have to be away from home at this time. And you begin to resent your job, and you begin to resent the work that you do, which is understandable at this time. But to know that the greater calling, the High Priestess, the Temperance, and the Hermit, that's three major arcanas, coming out with a card like Uranus, which is sudden, it's revolutionary, it's quick change, having to make very fast adjustments. It's when the divine steps in and creates chaos and change in our life. And where faith, at a time where it could be very easy to disconnect from it, it's all that more important. It may be the only solid foundation you have at this time. Temperance is patience, and you have to have patience and know that it will get better. There will be relief. There will be better days. There will be a brighter future, and I know that it's easy to get lost in the details and feel overwhelmed by situations right now. And there may be periods in which you feel hopeless, in which you feel like relief isn't even in sight. The days and the nights might become extremely long and chaotic for you. But your perception of faith in and of itself will determine the outcome. And Jupiter will want you to remain optimistic even in the bleakest times, even facing our worst fears. Faith that the universe will bring something good from this. That's the ultimate way to get through it at this time, is the knowing and the belief in the universe. This is probably going to be a rough experience, and it's going to play out in waves and contractions throughout the rest of the year. You may not feel really optimistic about things wholeheartedly, like the things will continue to feel heavy even in the breakthroughs. And that's where the Neptune in your chart, that's where the faith really comes in. And you have to focus on your ability to receive at this time. You have to ask for help. You have to rely on others, even though you'll want to go within, maybe not share or talk about your experiences. But a lot of good will come from your ability to share love in any way that you can at this time, even if it's unconventional. Even if you have to see or talk to your kids via FaceTime or video messaging, or a loved one, take that time to reach out and connect and allow yourself to love, allow yourself to rely on others, to cry on their shoulders, because it'll help you to allow others to cry on your shoulder and to serve others better. And that in the cycle, in the greater cycle of things, the universe really does have your back in different ways, in unexpected ways. It might be a conversation with a stranger and someone says words to you that maybe you wish you had heard from someone else, maybe someone you lost. And there's a feeling that you know that came from that person. And there's no time for coincidences here. Take the spiritual messages and the feelings they give you and let them get you through the darker times. Okay, moving on to pile 3, my sunstone. This could light up creativity, new beginnings, seeing the light and the future in things. Let's see what your cards come out as. Prince of Swords in reverse with the Moon card next to the Void of Course Moon card. 2 Moon cards, so I think we're really getting into our feels. And then the Yacht of Destiny card. Card of Protection, calling your power back. Okay. Beautiful reading, guys. Beautiful. Prince of Swords in reverse. See all that green energy down there? That's your heart chakra. And when it comes out with the moon and it's in reverse, well, something's happening to get you back in touch with your emotions, with your heart. And the Prince of Swords in reverse tells me that there's a sense of stagnation, not being able to start new things, create new ideas. It could talk about how your mind plays a role in your manifestations with the moon. Let's talk about the moon card, because that could also represent, the moon talks about fertility. It talks about creativity in the most natural form. It also talks about our emotions. It talks about our home space and our soul. And I feel as though you're being pulled in a direction, but there's a lot of mental activity that's holding you back. This is where fears and doubts come into play. There could be a duality within you where you're kind of fighting between the logic side of yourself and the more primal and intuitive side of yourself. What makes sense on paper versus what feels good, what you need emotionally. But the Prince of Swords tells me that it's not in its power, it's not in stability. So what your idea of logic is, what your idea of reality may be more fear-based. It may be unbalanced because you're focusing too much on the what ifs, what the things that could go wrong, the negative ways in which your mind and your ego don't serve you. And the moon is really bringing things to the surface. And the void of course moon with destiny is definitely universe pulling you into certain directions and paths now, and there's probably very little resistance at this time. The Yod, the destiny card, if you have a Yod in your chart, it's not an easy aspect. There's difficulties, there's squares involved, so there's things that you need to overcome in order to get to your destiny. But there's a pool for you to go in that destination. So there's kind of a purpose behind the struggle that you're going through. And the void of course moon is when we really have to let go of the logical parts in our mind. If we try to control things logically, if we try to plan things out, if we're trying to get schedules together at this time, or if there's something we want to say or do and we're really trying to micromanage it, it's probably not going to work out. What will work out, the things that will bring abundance and gifts and opportunities to you, is when you kind of surrender. And you surrender to your emotions, you surrender to these unknown forces within you. That's what you're being asked to look at with Pluto and Jupiter. It's exploring your fears and how you allow your fears to control your mind, and then believe your mind controls your actions. So if you focus on the negative aspects, you bring that into reality. Protection, call back your power, cut the cord, soul retrieval. This is the end of that cycle. This is the end by becoming, accepting your emotional being and facing those fears in one way or another. You know, if you're fearing, if you're really unsatisfied with a job or a relationship, but the fear that comes from the thought of quitting this job or losing this job, or losing a marriage or a partnership because you're losing the stability within it, then you don't have the drive to actually put the things into motion. So your fear of losing a source of income or a source of love, which is all a source of abundance for us, the actual fearing the loss of it is holding you back from getting what you truly want and deserve in it. And that's exactly what's happening right now, is Jupiter is saying to you, build. Because what you're being called to build right now, the menial things, the little steps towards the bigger thing, right? The connections to others, the building, and now the Three of Pentacles becoming the Four of Wands. It's laying the foundations with others. It's the small commitments that eventually evolve into the bigger forms of stability, the big commitments, the marriages, the engagements. You know, if Three of Pentacles is the deciding that making a commitment to each other, like, you know, seeing each other exclusively. And then eventually that becomes the moving in together, the marriage proposal. If it's a job, the Three of Pentacles is the signing of the contract, the reviewing the job requirements. And the Four of Wands is when it starts to bring abundance, when it starts to bring the stability into your life. And that's actually the current energies right now. That's what's on the table, is an opportunity to build and connect with others, which will prove to be extremely beneficial and abundant for you in the future. But you have to give something up. See, the moon always says you have to give something up in order to get what you truly want. Same idea with the yods and the squares. You have to overcome something in order to get what's destined to be yours. And I think what you're overcoming is the illusion of being trapped. Just like I said, there's an inability to put one foot in front of the other because of the fears that you allow to control your mind. It is these fears. Again, it is the way that you keep yourself trapped in illusion. This is all self-imposed. If you see she's blindfolded and wrapped up and tied, she has no idea that she could walk away. There's nothing holding her down. And it gives you a sense that you can't move forward. Eight of Cups. Eight of Swords to the Eight of Cups. This is all about Pluto's transformation of your mind. This is all about your different perspective now and how you need to look at things. Your fears are illusions. They are not happening. The only thing that they're doing is holding you back from finding new faith, new levels of success. The Eight of Cups is recognizing that there's something better out there and that you need to move forward to get it. It's a knowing that the universe has something else for you. But you can't get there because you're tied up in your mind and all the ways that maybe you are not good enough. This is all the self-sabotage. You want to be with somebody. You want to extend the offer to build a future together, but you're too afraid that it might cause you to feel trapped, that it might cause pain, that it might not work out. So you're the only one holding you back from taking the greatest journey of your life. That trek up the mountain towards the greatest abundance. The Eight of Cups upright leads to the Nine of Cups. It leads to complete and utter emotional fulfillment, belief in yourself, your wishes and your dreams coming true. So what a shame to find out that the only thing that held you from everything you've ever wanted was your mind. Were illusions of worst case scenarios dancing in your head, and your inability to believe in yourself and see the vision for the future. Call your power back. Take the power back. Start to pay attention to your dreams and your intuition, and start to ask for guidance. Honestly, if you're disconnected and you're feeling stagnation in your life, Void of Course Moon tells me that you could communicate in other realms to find your answers. So if something weird has occurred, you've been watching more and more of these tarots searching for answers, maybe go pick up a deck, order one from Amazon. Play around with the cards. Your intuition is talking to you right now. You have to turn off the mind and allow that intuition to speak to you, because it's going to guide you right towards your destiny. So if there's anything that, oracle cards or anything that could open you up, meditations on YouTube, just trust your intuition that one step will lead to the other. Again, you're in the mode of building. This is kind of like where you start to put the pieces together and create the vision. So those tools, this is all about the tools that you use to overcome the negative thoughts, to quiet the mind and understand how you're meant to move, what your next move is meant to be. And once you establish that, once that comes from a place within your higher being, once you allow the inspiration, card of the Firefly, inspiration is coming to you. Pay attention to signs from the universe, synchronicities, and when they come up, think about what you were thinking. The universe will guide you through this. They've got your back. You're being protected. You're being protected so that you can take your power back and move towards the brighter vision of the future. And it's really powerful. Do not deny yourself your emotional needs. The moon also represents birthing. And anyone can tell you labor is not easy, and it is a very emotional and physical draining process that you might be in at this time, but it will bring abundance if you persevere. Okay, pile number 3 I really loved because, first of all, the stone, it's like this brownish, reddish, darkish color, which speaks to me about grounding and your primal energy, which I think Pluto's going to bring out your power and your energy for a lot of people, and Pluto does represent sex. So that is also a big theme for the Pluto-Jupiter conjunction. Yeah. Absolutely a theme for you this month for sure. What an interesting play between fire and water. Wow. Guys, this reading is really amazing. full manifestation mode. Okay. A lot of fire here, just like I said. A lot of root chakra. So much red within these cards, the red and the yellow. This is really amazing. So pile number 3, you're coming out as the Princess of Wands. And she is right side up, and she's raring to go. There's something, there's a passion within you that's being ignited. And it is really lighting you up. The environment is that of the sun. Ugh. And in this particular deck, you know, usually the sun is the card of Leo. It's like the child that's naked on the horse. But in the Thoth deck, it is 2 people. It's 2 people coming together in abundance, stepping into the light. It's solidifying, it's gratitude. It is happiness at the most core level. And that's very much repeated in the 8th house and the 5th house cards that came out for you. There's such a beautiful element here in the way that you're really breaking open. Just for a second, I just want to show you guys how this works. So there's a real deep opening of intimacy here. Quite literally, this might be an extremely sexual time for you. If not sexual, if there is a repression of sexual energy, it will boil to the surface in the form of anger, in the form of revenge, actually. So you want to be really careful with this energy. If you repress it, it won't be good. Okay, so you kind of want to be able to go with the flow with this. And that's where the sun and the 5th house come into play, right? So the sun is your connect, and oh my gosh, and look at there's 2, just amazing, 2 faces here. So the sun is telling you also to play and to have fun. If you're not, it's the opening up of new ideas, of trying new things. You may be stuck with a partner in your house, quarantined, feeling good. And it may be a really great time to open up and play and find each other again. There's an easiness in this. You know I said that about if it's a repressed thing, but I'm not feeling angry energy here. So that's just a warning. I don't want to make anyone feel apprehensive that something bad or something's going to happen that's going to make them angry. That's not the energy at all. If you could harness this energy, it's so creative. This is really the need. If you're not in a partnership, if you're not having the really great sex, then you really need to lose yourself in something extremely creative. The instruments, the singing, the writing, the creativity in any way, shape, or form. Even if it's painting a room in your house or ordering new aesthetics. That's all a theme right now. It's very Venusian, but it's also very powerful. And you also got the card of the star seed. What lights you up? So there's a level of becoming really vulnerable with others or even within yourself. there's the idea that the more that you can open yourself up to others, the more that you allow the intimacy, the more that you could be yourself, the more you allow that creativity to flow. And what happens when that creativity is flowing like that is that you're manifesting a wheel of fortune. You're manifesting literally abundance and fortune, a new destiny, a new start, something that changes you, that completely transforms your environment. The wheel of fortune is like the rags to riches, right? It's harnessing an energy, and that's one of the fire ant as well. Something comes in quickly and you really have to harness that energy and make the most of it, right? And the stuff that's really going to hold you back this month, the things that you want to avoid, although I don't think it's going to be a problem, this seems just so primal. I think this might be one of those situations where the universe is just doing this for you. Be open to it and allow. 5 of Cups and the Queen of Wands in reverse. Okay. Here's the thing. This level of transformation, which could quite honestly change your destiny, can be blocked because you feel guilt or shame. Be really careful here because you don't want to hold yourself back. The Queen of Wands in reverse can be, let's just say her ego isn't serving her well. She protects herself, so she holds back. She holds back passion. She may be holding back passion from somebody because she feels hurt or disappointed from stuff in the past. Maybe the same person disappointed her. Maybe people in the past disappointed her. I don't know why I'm talking so much to the feminine, but I feel like I'm addressing a feminine energy here. Sadness from the past creates the need to put up a wall and to hold yourself back and to keep yourself a little bit cool and aloof. It's where you don't want to throw yourself into it wholly and completely, and really attract it to you. There may be a level where you put up a block. You kind of put up this energy where things can't come to you. Partners can't tell you how they feel, or they can't make the suggestions or the sexual suggestions or requests. They don't feel comfortable opening up to you because you put up a wall in order to keep yourself from being hurt. Or maybe there's something deep within you all of these years that caused you to feel sexually repressed, that caused you to feel like sex was accompanied with shame, or that, really allowing yourself to let go and melt into the intimacy with another could hurt you in some way. And I think there's an ending of that cycle and the need to step into the new. You can't allow your inability to be vulnerable stop what's happening now. Because if you could harness this energy, you change your entire destiny. I can't make that clear enough. And it's really all about going after what makes you feel really good right now. It's time to harness that energy and to confront the ways that you hold yourself back and that you don't allow yourself to really feel the fire and passion of something. Princess of Wands in this card upright, and then the Queen of Wands in reverse as your warning tells me to you want to avoid the need to you may need to be a little reckless. You throw caution to the wind a little bit here, and come out of that feeling like you have to control the situation. That could also be allowing a moment to kind of take you away. Again, if you are always in control of the situation and schedules, you might be cutting yourself off, where now, in the change, your day might be wide open, and maybe you could have all day long sex. Maybe you have time for this now, and it was something that you were held back from before. I mean, there's all kinds of reasons here where you may have put up a wall and blocked this energy, but now it's kind of being forced on you. And you have to go about it in a really playful and open way, and know that it's going to bring expansion and opportunity to you, and it's going to really ignite parts of your soul where you learn about yourself. You're dropping the shame of, maybe you don't feel comfortable in your own skin. Queen of Wands, this could be somebody who is controlled very much by their ego, and the Princess of Wands says, screw it. If you don't like the way your body looks, well, obviously the person you're with does. It's fine. Get out of your head. Get out of worrying about the way that you look or the way the other person's going to perceive you. Be yourself. Be open. Be free. And it's going to really serve you well. Careful of the ego. You have to really be open and intimate and vulnerable right now in order to make the most of this energy. Now, truth be told, it is true that the highest level of manifestation, I'm blushing at this reading, by the way, and kind of sweating. The greatest level in which you can manifest from is the level that you reach during an orgasm, right? Like, that's the best feeling you could have in the entire world. In that split moment, you're free, everything feels wonderful, you're not in your head, you're not, and that's a moment when, like, beautiful things can come to life, beautiful things can actually be born. It's, the actual fertilization process, it's the coming together and the creating of new energy. So that's what you need to harness this month. And if you can, even harness your ability to manifest during that feeling, it's going to serve you well. It's going to change the path and the course of your life. Bring you freedom, bring you luck. Jupiter, Pluto, face the fears, let go and believe. Follow your passions. Be vulnerable. Okay, I need a nap after that one. Yeah, everyone take care. Take it really easy on yourself during the month of April and through at least the first 2 weeks of April, because they're catapulting, to say the least. Catapulting, I think, is a really great word for April. All right, guys, I wish you all the very best. I hope that any advice I gave to you was taken with the ability to understand and transform and know that just want the very best for you. All right, everybody take care. Bye.